Hello, and welcome back to our History channel. Today, we will be discussing how the British Empire became the biggest empire in the world. Between the 16th and 20th centuries, the British Empire controlled over a quarter of the world's land and population. It was a vast and complex empire, with territories that spanned the globe. But how did Britain go from a small island nation to the world's largest empire? Let's find out. During the early years of the British Empire, the colonies in the Americas and the Caribbean were crucial to its growth. The colonies provided a source of raw materials, such as tobacco and sugar, which were in high demand in Europe. They also provided a market for British manufactured goods, which helped to stimulate the British economy. In addition to the colonies in the Americas and the Caribbean, the British Empire also established a presence in India. The East India Company, which was established in 1600, played a significant role in the colonization of India. The company was granted a trading monopoly by the British government, which allowed it to establish a network of trading posts throughout India. Over time, the company began to expand its territorial control, using a combination of diplomacy, military force, and political maneuvering. By the mid-17th century, the British Empire was still relatively small compared to other European powers, such as Spain and France. However, this would soon change. The 17th and 18th centuries saw a wave of exploration and colonization by European powers, and the British Empire was no exception. The British established colonies in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, and they became one of the dominant powers in the world. The growth of the British Empire was fueled by a number of factors. One of the most significant was the development of new technologies, such as the steam engine. This allowed the British to transport goods and people more efficiently, which in turn facilitated trade and colonization. The growth of the British economy was also a factor, as the Industrial Revolution created a demand for raw materials and new markets for manufactured goods. This led to an increased need for colonies, which could provide the necessary resources and markets. However, the growth of the British Empire was not without its challenges. The empire faced opposition from other European powers, as well as from the colonized peoples themselves. The British Empire also engaged in the transatlantic slave trade, which involved the forced transportation of millions of Africans to the Americas. The slave trade was a major source of wealth for the British Empire, but it also contributed to the exploitation and oppression of African peoples. Despite these challenges, the British Empire continued to grow and expand throughout the 19th century. The colonization of India and Africa had a significant impact on the world, shaping the political, economic, and cultural landscape of these regions. Today, the legacy of the British Empire can still be seen in many parts of the world, and its impact continues to be felt. During the 18th and 19th centuries, the British Empire continued to expand its influence and reach, establishing trading posts and commercial relationships with various countries. This expansion was not limited to just colonization, as the British Empire also engaged in diplomacy and political maneuvering to further its interests. However, the growth and success of the British Empire were not without their controversies and ethical concerns. The exploitation and oppression of colonized peoples, as well as the transatlantic slave trade, were major issues that plagued the empire. Despite these challenges, the British Empire's impact on the world was significant and far-reaching, shaping the political, economic, and cultural landscape of many regions for centuries to come. The legacy of the British Empire can still be seen in many parts of the world today. From the language and legal systems to the architecture and cultural traditions, its impact continues to be felt, both positively and negatively, and it remains a subject of debate and discussion among historians and scholars. The British Empire's presence in India was not without controversy. While the British introduced a number of reforms that modernized India, such as the establishment of a uniform legal system and the construction of railways and other infrastructure, these reforms were often accompanied by exploitation and oppression. The British East India Company's policies led to the impoverishment of Indian farmers and artisans, and the forced cultivation of cash crops such as cotton and opium led to widespread famine and poverty. The Indian Rebellion of 1857, also known as the First War of Independence, was a turning point in India's relationship with the British Empire. The rebellion was sparked by a number of factors, including the introduction of new rifles that required soldiers to bite off the ends of cartridges that were greased with animal fat, which was offensive to both Hindu and Muslim soldiers. The rebellion was brutally suppressed by the British, and it led to the end of the East India Company's rule in India. The British government took direct control of India, and it remained a British colony until 1947, when it gained independence. Despite the negative impact of British rule on India, the country's relationship with Britain has continued to evolve, and the two countries have maintained close ties in the years since independence. The environmental impact of the British Empire's colonization of Africa was not limited to just the destruction of natural habitats and exploitation of resources. The introduction of new diseases and invasive species also had a significant impact on the continent's ecosystems. For example, the tsetse fly, which is native to Africa, was largely responsible for keeping cattle populations in check. However, the British introduced cattle breeds that were resistant to the tsetse fly, which led to overgrazing and the destruction of grasslands. The introduction of non-native plant species also had a negative impact on the environment, as they outcompeted native species and disrupted local ecosystems. Despite these challenges, there is hope for a brighter future for Africa. Many African countries are working to promote sustainable development and conservation, with a focus on protecting and preserving the natural world for future generations. From reforestation projects to the promotion of renewable energy, there are many initiatives underway that aim to address the environmental challenges facing the continent. In addition, there is a growing awareness of the need to involve local communities in conservation efforts, as they are often the ones most affected by environmental degradation. While the legacy of the British Empire's impact on the environment cannot be undone, there is a growing recognition of the need to address these issues and work towards a more sustainable future. By promoting sustainable development and conservation, we can help to ensure that Africa's natural resources are protected and preserved for generations to come. The decline of the British Empire was a complex and multifaceted process that was influenced by a variety of factors. In addition to the impact of the world wars and growing opposition from colonized peoples, the British Empire also faced economic challenges and shifting global power dynamics. The rise of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers, for example, had a significant impact on the balance of power in the world, and the British Empire struggled to maintain its dominance in this new geopolitical landscape. Despite these challenges, the legacy of the British Empire continues to be felt in many parts of the world. The countries that were once part of the British Empire continue to be shaped by their colonial past, and the impact of the empire can still be seen in areas such as politics, culture, and economics. The English language, for example, is spoken by millions of people around the world, and British cultural traditions, such as cricket and tea drinking, have become global phenomena. However, the legacy of the British Empire is not without controversy. The exploitation and oppression of colonized peoples, as well as the transatlantic slave trade, were major issues that plagued the empire. The impact of these injustices can still be felt today, and they continue to be the subject of debate and discussion among historians and scholars. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition of the need to address the legacy of colonialism and work towards a more just and equitable future. Many countries that were once part of the British Empire working to promote social justice and equality, and there is a growing awareness of the need to acknowledge and address the injustices of the past. In conclusion, the British Empire was the largest empire in the world for centuries, but its decline was inevitable. The impact of the empire can still be seen in many parts of the world, and its legacy continues to be felt today. While the legacy of the British Empire is not without controversy, there is hope for a brighter future, as countries work to address the injustices of the past and promote a more just and equitable world. If you enjoyed this video on how the British Empire became the biggest in the world, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more history content. We hope you learned something new today, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.